What's up guys, AD back with another Destiny Child video, and in today's video everyone, we are going to be overviewing the World Boss Trials Season 30 team guide for the Tiwaz event. So as you can see, we do have it here on screen, and without any further ado, let's get started. So first up, we do have the boss skills here for our dark type supporter Tiwaz here, shown on the left hand side in her bridal costume. For the tap skill here, we have deal damage to 4 enemies, priority few debuffs, inflict necrosis, 300 damage over time every 2 seconds, unable to cut or extend a debuff for 20 seconds, and grant skill gauge charge amount stacking to self for 14 times. As for the slide skill here, dealing damage to 5 enemies 2 times, priority many debuffs, have a 100% chance to inflict stun for 1 second, more when attacked up to 5 seconds max, to 5 enemies with damage over time debuff for 14 seconds, and deal plus 200 damage over time damage on self for 16 seconds long. As for the drive skill here, we have dealing damage to all enemies in the front row, apply allure, nullify effects of buffs on target, cannot be removed except by special skills for 10 seconds, and have a 70% chance to time alteration, remove all time based buffs from the target, and reduce skill gauge charge speed by 40% for 16 seconds to 5 enemies, highest HP. As for the leader buff, debuff evasion plus 30%, all skill defense plus 80% except for weak point attributes, and allure immunity for all allies. So based on this skill set, she does have a ton of damage over time, and she has the ability to remove buffs here from your allies, as well as the allure here, which is very annoying. So definitely a ton to deal with here against Tiwaz, and you'll want to use some of these strategies to counter her debuffs, such as Babble and the disable strategy, to definitely help a ton with this allure and annoying damage over time. So with that being said, let's overview the recommended units here, starting with the first row. So first up here, we have the boost childs, which are required for the event, so of course you can obtain more magic mirror fragments. Now first up, we do have Black Bunny Ophawace, our new light type debuffer, and we also have Titania here, the light type attacker, which is also a booster child as well. Now for Ophawace here, you can consider running her leader skill, as she does have a pretty amazing one, and for the skill order, I would say try to use her on tap if you are running Oracle Werewolf, and if you aren't running Oracle Werewolf, then you can consider running her on slide tap, and if you do happen to ignite her, you can add multiple taps to that skill order, such as slide tap tap, as her tap skill is pretty strong. As for what she does have in her kit, she has debuff accuracy percentage plus, time alteration, skill gauge charge speed minus, and skill defense minus a certain percentage. So she does definitely have a solid kit, but unfortunately she's tied to Dark World Boss Trials only. As for the debuffer counter strategy, I would definitely recommend you all to use Babble, as you do not want Tiwaz to drive here, as she does have a very annoying one due to the allure as well as the time alteration. So you definitely don't want to get hit by this drive skill. Definitely make sure to add in Babble onto your team, as he does have the drive gauge minus, and of course that charge amount minus, which will help a ton with avoiding that. And for Babble here, you want to run him on slide only. Now if you don't have Babble, you can add in Alter Davi to help with the debuff counters, but unfortunately she won't do nearly as much as Babble, but you can run her on slide if you don't have the option of Babble. As for debuff extenders, we do have Navi and Lewin. It's pretty standard to run these two characters. You'll want to run them on slide only. Next up here, we have the disable strategy, which is recommended to run 2 of these units, so the both here, and we do have Bradamante here, in which you'll have to have her fully ignited. Now if you don't happen to have Bradamante fully ignited, you can run a unit like Gunslinger Billy alongside Babble, which will probably do the job just fine. So make sure to keep that in mind. If you don't happen to have Bradamante ignited, don't run this unit at all. And we also do have Pan here, which does help as well with the skill charge minus and the skill resets here. Now for both of these units, you'll want to run them on slide only. For the next row here, everyone, we have Dancing Blade / defense minus. It's recommended to run 1 to 2 of these characters. Now depending on your your Ramlethal Ignition if you do happen to have the collaboration exclusive character. Now first up here we do have Ramlethal, like mentioned, in which you'll need to have her ignited to at least 3 stars in order for her elements restriction to be removed, in which you can run her in this World Boss trial. So make sure to have her ignited. If not, then don't run this character at all. But nonetheless, she's definitely prioritized over Lady Bathory. She is the better option of the two if you do happen to ignite Ramlethal. And for the leader skill, you can definitely consider this one here in the World Boss trial also. Now if you don't happen to have Ramlethal, no worries, as we do have Lady Bathory here, and all of you should have a Lady Bathory due to the recent codes here that's Destiny Child did toss out. Now for these two characters, you'll want to run them on slide only. And moving on, we do have weak point defense minus, in which you'll want to run one of these characters. Now for Mercury here, you'll need to have her ignited to 8 out of 12 ignition at the very least in order to run her in this World Boss trial. So if you don't happen to have her ignited to 8 out of 12, don't use this character and use Midas instead. As for the skill order though, you'll run both of these units on slide only. Next here we have double-edged sword, which is recommended to run this unit, in which we do have Saturn here. Definitely make sure to add her onto your team, as you'll see her later on in the offensive stance category, which is very amazing for your light type attackers. And for Saturn here, you'll want to run her on slide only. As for skill defense minus, it's recommended to run 1 to 2 of these characters. I'm personally running both of them, as we do need a Black Bunny Ophawace for the booster child here. So make sure to run Oracle Werewolf and a Black Bunny Ophawace. In my case, I am running Oracle Werewolf on slide only, since I am running all sliders. Now if you do happen to run tapper units, you can run ST as the skill order for Oracle Werewolf. And for Black Bunny Ophawace here, I would only run tap, considering we are running Oracle Werewolf on the team already. But if you would like, you can also test out ST. You can also test out ST or STT on Black Bunny Ophawace. Of course, the leader skills are recommended here, but I'm personally going with the Ophawace leader skill. Definitely make sure to test out Oracle Werewolves though. As for the aid category here, everyone, we have newbie Mona, in which she is the only one we do have here, and you can run this character on slide or slide tap tap, and I would definitely consider running her on slide tap tap for this event, as Tiwaz does have a ton of damage over time and annoying debuffs overall. Moving on to the next row, everyone, we do have the crit buffers, in which it's recommended to run one of these characters. Of course, the priority would be Lupin here, so make sure to run her on 1 slide and 4 taps. Next here we do have Pantheon. If you don't happen to have Lupin for some reason, then you can definitely toss in Pantheon onto your team. Moving on, we do have the offensive stance category, in which we mentioned earlier. You'll want to run Saturn on your team for this reason as well, and make sure to run her on slide only. Next up here we do have offensive supporters, which is recommended to run 3 to 4 of these characters. You'll probably lean towards running the first 4 here. Now first up we do have Chandra here, in which you should run her on slide or slide tap tap. As for the next unit here, we have Chang'e, in which you should run her on tap or 1 slide and 4 tap skills here, in which she does have end cooldown. Now you'll need to have Chang'e ignited to at least 2 stars, so make sure to toss her a few cores before throwing her into your lineup. Next here we have Salos here, in which you should run her on slide only, followed by Nimhain, in which you should run her on slide and 4 taps. And last but not least here, if you need an Emone for more sustainability or don't happen to have any of the other options, we do have an Emone on slide or slide and 2 tap skills. Next up here, everyone, we have the speed buffer / cooldown reduction, in which first up here we do have Sweet Citri. You should run this character on slide only. And moving on, we have Maid Citri here, in which you should run her on slide and 2 tap skills, followed by Tragedy Rusolica, in which you can run her on tap only or 1 slide and 4 tap skills. Next here we have Melia here, the collaboration exclusive character. You can run her on slide or slide and 4 taps. Followed by Melia here, we do have Wodan wrapping up this category here, in which you should run Wodan on slide only. Next here we have the healer category, in which it's recommended to run Freya over the others here, as she does have debuff evasion percentage plus here in her skill set. So definitely make sure to use Freya for this World Boss trial if you do happen to be in need of a healer, as she'll help a ton with the debuff evasion as well as full team heal. Now if you don't happen to have Freya, make sure to consider Alf or Fulmot, as they also have full team heal. Next here we have Defenders, in which it's is recommended to run Nephthys here, as she is the better defender over zooming Mars, but if you don't happen to have Nephthys, consider using Mars as well, as they both have full team barrier. Next here everyone, we have the light type attackers, in which it's recommended to run 2 to 3 of these characters. Now first up we do have Arya here, in which you'll want to run her on slide only, followed by Arya we do have Laura, in which you'll run her on 1 tap and 4 slide skills, and consider using her leader skill as well. As for the next options here, we have Titania, in which she is a boost child in this event, so make sure to run Titania regardless, as you will want that boost. And for Titania here, you'll run her on slide only. As for the other 2 options here, we have Gunslinger Hilder, in which you can run her on slide, and last but not least we have Lassie, in which you can run her on slide only as well. As for the notes here, we have 2 to 3 attackers is sufficient, and the attacker prioritization would of course be the 6 hit percentage based slide overall, and in this case you'll be prioritizing the 6 hit slide, as we don't have a 6 hit percentage based slide here for the light type attackers just yet. Next here we have a note for Oracle Werewolf, in which you should consider running her on slide and tap if you are using tap based attackers. Next here we have, if you're using Maid Citri and she happens to be ignited to 3 stars, make sure to use 1 slide and 4 tap skills. Last but not least, we have, if you're using Ramlathal, she requires 4 reds, and consider using 4-star Kalchas if you do happen to have him ignited. Next here everyone, for the attacker Cartas, we have Fighting Game Geek, in which we do have the max attack percentage plus, in which this would be prioritized for the World Boss event. Next here we have Fitting, in which we also have critical skill damage percentage plus, which is a very amazing one here, so be sure to consider using this one as well. And last but not least, we have Full Moon Luna, which does have weak point percentage plus. As for the debuffer Cartas, we have Troubleshooter Mona, which does apply debuff accuracy percentage plus and should be prioritized. Next here we have Juno's Gift, which does have debuff duration percentage plus. Now this card here should be prioritized on your debuffers if you do happen to have the debuff accuracy plus option on your accessory and don't happen to have many Troubleshooter Monas. As for the final category here, we have the supporter and tank Cartas, in which you should run Change of Air, as we do have skill gauge percentage plus on hits. And last but not least, we have Showtime, which does have debuff evasion percentage plus. Now if you don't happen to have Change of Air or Showtime, you can consider using pretty much any other HP/defense Carta. Next here everyone, we have the recommendation of Pepita and Grilla. Make sure to test out this duo if you don't happen to have many units and have happened to obtain Pepita in our previous event, as we did just conclude the water type Ragna break. So consider using her, as she is a pretty amazing off elements option and can fill up some slots if you don't happen to have too many characters or the recommended units here from this guide. Last but not least, we have the sample lineup here, in which we do have Babel, Rusalka, Nubimona, Salos, Black Bunny Ophoes, Chandra, Lady Bathory, Nimhain, Jachungbi, Lewin, and moving on to the back row here, we do have Arya, Laura, Titania, Navi, Oracle Werewolf, Saturn, Mercury, Lupin, Maid Citri, and Freya. As for the drive order here, it's recommended to run Chandra into Nimhain drive and end off with Saturn drive, and of course make sure to run Ophoes leader skill or use Oracle Werewolf leader skill. As for the final tips here of this guide everyone, we do have always drive Saturn before fever time, experiment with other drive skills and orders such as Mercury, Oracle Werewolf, Maid Citri, etc. Next here we have the team comp above is a sample for new players, low budget and no collaboration units in the account. So if you do happen to have Ramlathal ignited for example, then obviously replace Lady Bathory with Ramlathal in that case, but the sample lineup is considering the fact that you may not have the collaboration units. You also may want to toss in Melia into your lineup, as she is also an amazing light type supporter. Next here we have experiments with other leader skills, examples Laura, Ramlathal, Saturn, etc. And last but not least, the solo Carta Tea Bloody Tea Time is another great option for your supporters. But anyways everyone, that'll pretty much do it for the World Boss Trials Season 30 Tiwaz guide overview here on the channel. Make sure to let me know in the comment section below if this guide was helpful to you at all. And of course, let me know how you guys are doing throughout this event to start. But before you go everyone, make sure to leave a like on this video, as well as be sure to subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you guys haven't yet done so already, be sure to check out channel memberships down below if you would like to support the channel further. And of course, a huge thank you to all of the members that have joined so far. But with all of that being said, I'll catch you all in the next Destiny Child video. As always, thank you all so much for watching.